There you go.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Verona Borough Council Workshop Meeting of January 23rd. Could stand for pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic of the state, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Provenza. Present. Mr. Canota.
Here.
Mayor Cuprio.
Here.
President Suchovich.
Here.
Ms. Redzak Showalter.
Present.
Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Long.
Here. Thank you. Are there any additional emergency agenda items? No? Okay, we have one registered comment from the public, and that is Chief Gerald Simpson. He's with the DCED. We had a public information session earlier, and he's gonna get up and if there's any questions from council or anybody.
Thank you, sir. Again, welcome to be here. I'll be able to handle any questions you may have about the presentation I just gave an hour ago. And help you understand the process. Should you have any questions about that efficient delivery?
I just want to reiterate again, Chief Simpson, thank you so much for coming in and giving us so much wonderful, helpful information as we begin to just investigate all options and just absorb as much information as possible. I think the public asked a bunch of great questions already. A couple of things that were still on my mind is I'm just wondering, like, how do you ensure, down the road, if you're merging with someone, that you still maintain, your identity, your presence? How do you balance, the morale of your current officers, making sure that, nothing that's part of that gets lost in the transition?
Yeah, it's a lot, in your question there, and I think, I was just saying to an audience member a few months ago that, the process to actually start this takes a period of time, and we work through a lot of those, like, internal concerns. I mean, and frankly, I'm happy to hear you mention the police personnel. Because they want to know, what does my future look like, right? They have jobs right now, they probably love their job, they love their communities, how does that look and where do they fit into that new model? I keep referring to as a model, with their livelihoods. So I think in that process, and this is, I think, one of the things I do well, is that because I served as an officer for 40 years, I still have family active on the job. And because I love this profession so much, I think there is, as much as I try to build the relationship and the trust between all of you to help guide you, and then help you with your community, your potential partners, build that trust. So I said this as well, it's not really so much as about building the police organization, it's building the trust that holds this all together, right? And equally important to the police officers, right? So that they know that they have a space in this organization where they can continue to do the careers and professions that they love. And I think that's a fair thing that we approach, and it kind of reveals itself different in every study, in every situation. So I don't know that I have the exact answers to how to answer someone's concern without knowing where we at in the process to say, well, look, this is what this really looks like. And having gone through many of these, one of the things is like, it's not framed in the lens of loss. It's usually something they're gaining in a lot of ways, and a lot of that has to do with opportunity or more competitive wage in some cases, and better benefits in some ways, or just being a part of something bigger.
Right. I'm really glad you actually mentioned more competitive wages, because you may or may not know that we run a very lean budget, and for a long time, we haven't really, I think everyone on council would agree, we haven't been able to pay our officers as much as we would like, and certainly as they deserve. I think currently, and Stephanie can correct me, I mean, our percentage towards the police department is high. It's like 40%, and one of the biggest compelling reasons I think we're here, considering regionalization, is among many other options, is just cost savings. So what percentage of your budget typically do municipalities end up with once they've gone through a process? No.
So there's one, I referenced this in the public comment as well, is that we use there's no doubt on this, because every community is a little different on where they put their money, right? There's a lot in the public works, there's a lot in space, parks and rec. or is there a lot in public safety? It really depends on each individual community. We have found, or I have found that if we get above that 40% mark, you probably need to start to look like what is happening. What is it wages? It's career age. And I mean this in a, I'm kind of old myself. You know, was it the career age where salaries are at the top end of the scale, and eventually they get shrunk because, you know, people retire and you bring in people, and I usually come along with an entry level salary that builds back up again. But 33 to 40% is kind of the range of activity. So if you get above that or creep above it, and I've seen, not as part of the study, but more or less as an observation, just checking my own benchmarks when I was achieving 52% on the dollar going to public safety services, not fire, police services in a community. And then that's a real add, like the rest of 48 cents, where's it going? Is that really enough to sustain those items that the community also has a need for? Roads, you know, all those things that it's supported by the public. Okay, shut up.
Yeah, that's great, great. Other questions?
Anybody have anything for me?
Well, sort of to that point. That you were saying, just to make an offshoot from there. I've heard a lot of people ask, and I don't know how to answer this question. When one community wants to merge with another community, and let's say community A pays their full-time police officers $30 an hour, and community B pays their police officers $25 an hour. How does that mesh, given the budget of community B being, you know, tighter, let's say,
Right.
than community A? I can't figure out how that can,
Yeah, I know. It's
how did it work in your recent one that you're doing with Rankin and North Braddock?
And we actually increased their salary. Well, let me say this. There was only one full-time police officer, right? So the lift
I
was,
mean, one full-time in all three communities?
well, and we're doing with part-time policing. So I can actually speak to a better example of my own experience. The community that partnered with us, we had to level them up to what the police officers are my home base where I was a chief at. And it was a level up in some cases of about $20,000 in some salaries a year. That was no easy lift, but if it comes about the economy to scale, it starts to come into play, right? So it's the amount of resources divided by whatever the percentage of proportionate formula you can pay. And we have found that what it does is it usually stabilizes the dollar. Will there be initial outlay, maybe a little bit more? Maybe, but then it starts to be stabilized, and regional organizations have a unique ability to absorb some of the things that you can't absorb in small scale policing. You get one or two police officers out, if you're trying to cover shifts, are you doing it overtime? You're just not doing it at all. So the scaled model that is properly oriented towards the staffing of what the needs are in the community is really what drives the stabilization of that dollar, and then it becomes something that is, I think, very predictable over a period of time, though there are collective bargaining agreements, like stuff like that, because it just becomes simple math in a lot of ways, except for the things that change when you're like healthcare and stuff. But you get a voice at that table, right? That's why regional policing is better in some ways versus the contract. If you're to be like a client contractor, you go buy services from me, I really just get to come and say, well, you have a need, here's your price this year. You have a need, here's your price next year, right? And I think that lends itself towards, I describe it, and these are my words, mercenary policing, where you're kind of at the whim of things where you don't really have a voice at the table, other than say no. And then what do? Restart your own services, and how costly is that?
Yeah, so, but what I think I'm hearing you say is that even though we might have to pay our police
A little more.
more,
Mhm.
those costs might be made up
They
with
might be
the
able to-
combination of other resources that we wouldn't have to pay.
Right.
It might,
Through the consolidation, the efforts of building efficiencies through consolidation.
Right.
And that's why these studies are important. That's why when you see the study, and I say this too, a lot of times you'll get the study and be like, oh boy, this looks like I don't know. That's why it's important for, my peers and myself coming to the next stage and say, now let's look. So it's kind of fine tune this. Let's look at where, these things need to be. And then we usually find that it's really sharpening the pencils more or less, or getting into the weeds. Again, your feasibility study, if you, move forward with something like that, we just had the public presentation, we were up in the sky here, we'll go down somewhere around 30,000 feet, sort of pull down, maybe 25,000, then we come back, we get into it, and say, okay, what does this really look like, how does this work, how does that work, and, in the cases, in your guys' situation, whomever your, partner may be, you probably have a lot of strong staff already at play, a manager and stuff, that you're going to be able to figure that stuff out pretty clearly. And then, I would never build a budget around grants. I don't sell grants as like, here's your incentive. I don't incentivize communities to do grants. But the reality of it is, there are opportunities out there that are presently closed off to you, because you're not in a partnership. So I don't sell them, and I'm cautioning everybody to be careful, because if you build your budget around the grant, when it's done, you're going to be in a rabbit hole that you didn't want to be in.
So to summarize in terms of the actual process, number one is a letter of intent.
Mhm.
Number two is a feasibility study, or is
So
it?
the letter of intent is DC, you do the study. So you have to solicit, hopefully another partner who's interested, right? Because you need,
So we have to have that first.
yeah,
That's the first step.
yeah.
Okay.
And that would be one of the things where I think you guys talk about it, among yourselves, and then extend the olive branch. And then you're gonna know, do we have an opportunity here? And let's be honest, maybe the community says, no, we're not interested. I would respond by saying, can we at least sit down and have a talk? Maybe bring this guy in from Chester County again, because he doesn't mind. He doesn't apparently mind about it. So anyway, tired guys. Can help talk that through in some way that makes sense, that maybe there, because a lot of this, there's always, the first thing that drives it is the loss of control, right? People in the Commonwealth like to have, but this is mine. Okay, fair enough, I respect that. But is that working? Is it sustainable? Is it thriving? You have to ask yourselves these questions. If you're not being fair to your community, you're certainly not being fair to your cops. Or yourselves.
So first it's who we might want to partner with, then a letter of intent. Then
We do a study.
Then do the study, but in here it says create a group of elected officials.
That's later on. So after the study is
So it's
done.
Not step one.
No, yeah, you're too far advanced. We're now that, put that aside. So what happens is after the feasibility study, and we kind of unveil to the communities that are a part of it, we kind of say, okay, here's what this looks like. I know it probably is unnerving you a little bit. So let's talk this through. And then we just ask a simple question. Is there a desire among the partner communities that were part of this feasibility study to continue on in a non-binding fashion to explore what implementation? That's the next phase. That's where I come into play. And then you form basically what would be the framework of what may eventually become a police commission without binding. So you'll talk about what a government, or I'm sorry, what would the charter agreement look like? And nothing is other than your time is of any cost to the community to go down that road until you finally get to, can we build out the charter agreement? And if it becomes something that is built out, then you'll decide whether you sign it or not and actually enter into that partnership. And the minute you do, then that commission has authority over what will become the regional police department. They get to be decision makers in the ability to hire, fire, and or spend money based on the formula.
So what would happen, Nancy, just to give you a heads up, since we're going through stamp at the same time through DCD, some of that stuff will be looked at before we even find a partner. Therefore, when we do get to that point, we'll have, something to present to them. Because they'll be looking at that as we go.
Anybody else?
I know, earlier, in the public information session, you had talked about non-contiguous communities, obviously the riverfront. We have to brainstorm, communities that may not be our neighbors. Can you say anything about, how that might work or examples you've seen? Does each community usually retain their police station, have not several times?
That's a great question, actually, I didn't touch on that, and that's probably one of the things we tackle pretty early on. Is that we like a footprint in the community, whether we call it a precinct house, the headquarters versus a walk-in station, walk-in station, drive-in station. It has a limited hours for use, but communities like to know that, hey, I know I can go there in some way and there'll be something like, and we kind of give a respectful, nod to that, because I think it has to be acknowledged that people like to have, like, they know that's what that is at. Until 20 years from now, where it's not as important as that, maybe the community at that point, right? So, yeah, in fact, my experience plus the one I'm working on down in East Vermont, we have a headquarters and then we have walk-in stations in locations where there are gonna be police. Now, the sectors don't work like in borough, they're not just solely built to the borough, they're built over a broader population base, so.
You could use it like as a substation.
Exactly.
Where an officer could come in rather than going to wherever, they come in, do their report.
Mayor, let me say this, it goes back to what I said about relationships, right? And this is the one thing that really is incumbent upon the chief or the police staff is to understand that their responsibility to the home bases, right? The people that are funded, right? And it can be a struggle at times. I know in my former experience, we took on a very small community and they did not have 24-hour coverage. They didn't have 7-day-a-week coverage. They weren't doing coverage on the holidays. They were hit and miss all over the place. And then I had some guys who've been around in the model that I had as an independent operation, that it took some convincing that, look, you've got to check in that substation and check in with the manager, for God's sakes, because they want to know you're here. And, so sometimes that's more about the leadership and the guidance there, because sometimes, people just don't see that as important, when in fact it's extremely important to put that rapport and the relationship going and say, hey, mayor, hey, manager, what's going on here? What's on fire today that I need to be aware about, And it's like, well, this road shut down today. Okay, good. All right. And it's a pass on. That's all, again, it's as much relationship building as this police.
Last Thursday, myself and the mayor of Oakmont, we hosted a mayor's meeting. There was 20 mayors there from, surrounding areas. And I did bring up your name, and there's a lot of people that, North Brady. Yeah, they also brought up your name also. And one thing that I brought up
Did they
is.
say nice things, Mayor?
No, you were very, highly spoken of.
Thank you.
The one thing I brought up is nobody wants to lose their identity.
I know.
Run a police,
Right.
this police, that police, and they all agreed.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, that goes back to that, your identity, and the pride that goes along with that identity. I think I get that. We do. And I think, when you start to think about name selection or color branding selection, you start to incorporate things that give, I always said it this way from my former organization, you've got to give a respectful nod to the past, okay? You have to, because they're the ones that blaze the trail for you to be where you're at right now, you're in it, okay? Do that, but don't let it hold you back, right? You've got to move it forward. So, in fact, I noticed this when I walked in, I had a former boss of mine, died unexpectedly, he was not killed in the line of duty, he died from an illness. He learned that he had about 2 weeks here, he was appointed chief. The man had fought his career, he finds out 2 weeks later that he had terminal disease. It took him within 7 months, and we started a charity to give back to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Museum, flying down in Washington DC. And I noticed this borough has lost 3 cops, which is
Unusual.
for the size of this
For the
community, that is
size, yeah.
an odd fight. I've worked around a lot larger agencies, hundreds of times, I've never lost one, let alone. So going to that respectful nod, I think those are the things that you have to remember your history, because this is what got you here. How do you accomplish that? I'll tell you one of the things, I think it's involving the officers themselves. And I impress upon that in these meetings where the community, love you all to death, my elected officials, but engage your cops in that conversation because they're the ones that drive the brand. They're the ones that get this go out in the cars and deliver those services. And it's as much a part of their soul as it is to your identity, whether they live here or not.
One more, unless someone else has a question. Just ballpark. Where do you see these individual police departments 5, 10, 15 years down the road in terms of, you know, being able to stay individual versus regionalization, both practically and economically?
So I said this at the Allegheny League of Municipalities. I was the guy that answered that last question, okay? Again, and I have a lot, I've been born and raised in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, okay? But I did most of my career in the state of Delaware. I'll hold that against me, okay? The model in the Commonwealth, I think, is under has great challenges in front of it. Okay? It's under threat, actually, in a lot of ways. There are over 1,100 police departments in the Commonwealth, of which only 39 of them are regional based. Outside the Commonwealth, there are only 4 or 5 other regional police departments, let's say the public comment. You know, and I'm going to sound like I'm bloviating here for a moment, but I had an opportunity to go over with a leadership group to Scotland back in 2022. And I didn't know this before I got there. I was not able to answer those questions. I didn't know this before I got to Scotland that Scotland had a police organization of 13 precincts. And one day they realized, the country of Scotland realized, we can't do this. And they flipped the switch. They literally called up their precinct commanders and said, this is what it's going to look like. They didn't do a feasibility study. They flipped the switch and became a police Scotland, a singular police entity to build in the efficiencies. And doing so, there were a lot of people off-boarded expectedly. They had to fix their model. They had to fix it. Now, that's not what's going to happen in the economy, right? But I, you know, not in my lifetime, but eventually the scaled model will look differently. Whether it's based on the regional, in some cases county. I think there's a lot of sense in that. Again, my son works for the Newcastle County Police Department. And there are the ones that exist that are incorporated, like Michael Agency, New York, Delaware, Wilmington. They have the financial energy to support those operations. But if you don't, you're policed by either the state police or the county police, and they have figured out their jurisdiction needs. Does that work in Allegheny County? I don't know. There's 131 municipalities in this county, right? Am I right about that?
Sure.
How many?
Something like 139.
139. You should be, right? All right. So, yeah, that's a lot, right? And, you know, I think the question needs to be asked, you know, just because you can have a police department, because law allows you to, doesn't mean you have to, should you? Because if you can't support it, if you can't support it in the level, the demands today, you should really be questioning it.
It just seems like the trend is from when you give your initial statistics, at least in Pennsylvania, we're trending in that way, but I would guess it's gonna take quite a while.
It seems to have caught a little bit of energy out here in Allegheny County in the last, sincerely, I came out here with one management study back in 21, and I haven't stopped coming out here since. So.
Just moves here.
So I don't think that's because of me. I think it's because the issue at hand is because, you know, there's, you know, can we afford this? Can we continue to retain good personnel and then attract and recruit good personnel to deliver these services to our residents?
Thank you.
I don't have a question, just a statement. Which, when you zoomed into our last meeting and Stephanie mentioned earlier, we're very excited after over a year it works that we're rolling out the SCMP or STAMP program also with DCED. So I think we're just trying to figure out, how that will work hand in hand, because we don't part for the boards, but I think we are all, again, very enthusiastic and grateful for the information that you shared with us. We'll be reaching out.
Thank you very much. You have my business card, you have obviously my contact information, feel free to reach out or to Yvonne Bell, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for your time.
And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a
Have a
safe
safe
drive
trip.
back to-
Thank you.
I'm gonna go check my leave though, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
You're very welcome.
This time we have comments from the public. Come to the podium, raise your hand or your virtual hand, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. We have nothing?
I'll make this real quick. Sherry Cottage, 750 Heights Railroad. Just so you know, chamber meeting, it changed this Monday, but it's not a permanent change, just this month. Just this month, the chamber meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any virtual hands.
No,
One,
no,
oh,
it's my hand sitting.
what?
It was me.
She had-
Okay, at this time, we have to appoint a council vacancy seat that's vacant. We have 3 people that sent a letter in. One has rescinded her letter. So at this time, we have Mr. John Jamelis and Miss Angela Octapenny. I want to thank you guys for showing your interest and trying to become on the council and go from there. So at this time, we're gonna ask you if you want to come up to give a couple minute talk, or if anybody has any questions for you. That's what we're doing right now, opening it up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm John Jamelis. I live on Center Avenue in Verona. I've been a Verona resident for most of my life. I'm a graduate of Riverview High School, went to the University of Pittsburgh, majored in political science. Right now, I work in HR for a very large local company here in Verona. Also a job scheduler. And I saw that the vacancy on the council. And I wanted to express my interest because, quite frankly, I'm concerned about, I love this town. Again, I've been here most of my life. I want a strong police force, strong fire department, I want good first response. And the other thing is, we want to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. Again, we haven't had much of a, tax increase, hardly at all. But if we do raise, our taxes even $1, I want to make sure that we've exhausted every opportunity to save money here and there, and if we have to, within reason, we can do a tax increase, but my whole thing is, I'd love to be able to work with each and every one of you to achieve our goals. I've been here for so long, and I've seen so many positive changes in this community, and I want to be able to actively participate and make sure that it stays as vibrant as it is, and we can accomplish more together. You have any questions?
Very good, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Jamelis?
I'll start. John, I just want to let both you and Angela know, of course, I think you know what you're getting into, but we do have 2 meetings a month. You'll have 3 committee meetings a month. There may be additional exec sessions. Especially as a newly elected official, we do send all of our newly elected officials to a course that several of our members are attending right now, the newly elected officials course. We do also open it up to various workshops and webinars throughout the year. Do you anticipate any difficulty with that given work schedule or other commitments? My second question is, you mentioned a couple of things that were concerning to you, safety, fiscal responsibility. What would you like to see what's one thing you'd like to maybe see Verona work on or accomplish within 2 years? And how does your unique experience, either work, personal, community, or otherwise, enable you to help us with that?
You know, as far as the, this, immediate issue with the policing, I mean, I know we're looking into the option of the regionalization. But, I also would like to dive into how we can improve our existing department. Right now, as it is, you know, if there are changes that need to be made, we need to hire, you know, an additional person, full-time person, for example, or what can we do to improve or maintain a quality level of service for our community? You know, we have, you know, we're some neighboring communities that, you know, have had issues, but at the same time, you know, we can work with them to be able to make sure that we're policing our whole area in the right way. So, and I know, you know, from the recent news report that I saw, not all the facts were presented to the public correctly. But, you know, I have pride in our department, and we need to really look at everything before we make any type of big moves like this. And I think we also should get the public involved. And, you know, and because of, you know, my experience in just working with people every day, different personalities, I look forward to working with everyone in the town, the council, and I'm open to listening to anyone who's willing to speak to me about the topics. So that's all.
Other questions?
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Jamelis?
Yeah, just a quick one. I'm curious about a couple things, like why tonight, like why now? Are you interested in council and maybe weren't interested before?
Well, you know, I thought about it for quite a long time, to be honest with you.
Oh,
But
okay,
I saw the opportunity right now, and yeah, there's an opportunity to serve right now. And you know, and quite frankly, someone is needed. And if I'm not gonna step up, somebody has to step up. You know, if it's not gonna be me, maybe it'll be Angela or whoever might be interested in doing it. But I think that we need to get, everyone needs to get more involved in what goes on around here, because, you know, it's this is our town, you know, we can't let it go bad.
so do you see yourself, in a year and a half, basically, the process starts again, you would have to run for election. Do you see yourself running for election?
Well, we'll see when that time comes. I can't answer that question right now.
Okay.
I mean, if things go well, certainly. If everyone has faith in the job that I'm performing, of course.
And what volunteer activities have you been involved in for the last 10 years?
Ooh. That's a rough one. Yeah, I haven't, to be honest with you, to answer that honestly, I haven't really done much volunteering. You know, I've attended some of borough events, I've come to some meetings, you know, look at the meetings online. You know, as far as volunteering and clubs and stuff like that, not much, to be honest with you, I'm sorry.
Same question I'm gonna ask everybody.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, yeah, but I'm coming up here as a concerned citizen, and it's you know, I want to serve my community. That's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you.
I think your experience possibly as a landlord could be useful with dealing with the issues that come
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that I will work to try to see, you know, especially with other property owners in town, to be able to come together as far as trying to screen and bring in viable tenants. So we don't want a revolving door in the community. We want people that they're gonna come in here and would want to stay here, and we'd love for them to stay here if they're, upstanding citizens. So, sure, I mean, that's something I would love to dive into deeper.
Anybody else? Anything else you want to say, Mr. Janelle?
That's it. I want to say, everyone, thank you for your time, and have a nice evening, and I humbly ask for your consideration.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for your interest, John. Thank you.
Mr. Benny?
It's, My name is Angela Penny. I live on Center Avenue also. I've been a resident since 2001. I have a 25-year-old daughter who graduated from Riverview, and I have a 5-year-old granddaughter who attends Burner Elementary. My involvement in the community is as follows. I've been on the zoning hearing board for 8 years. I've been on the vacancy chair for 4 years. I've been a poll worker since COVID. I had involvement with the first community days that was run by Patty Tominello, volunteering at the game booths. I've been treasurer of the newsletter for 8 years. And I've also been involved in the new community days run by the community group. Dave and Sylvia and I organized the parade for 1 year. Been a past litter volunteer. I participated in the tree plantings with tree vitalization. I take part almost every year in the Jolly Jamboree, except for the past year. I was garden club president for 10 years, vice president for 1 year, and I was also the volunteer who watered the hanging baskets. Right. My interest is in the community development, a lot of community development. My background is real estate. I've been a real estate agent for approximately 21 years. My goals are to reduce blight with educating and informing the residents about county programs available to lower income seniors and the unemployed to help fix properties before they become blighted. Also with the vacant properties, I'd like to reduce the vacant properties by education for residents and investors about the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program. I'm currently on my third one. I've done the first one with a vacant property next door to me. I acquired the lot. I think that was the first one that Verona did. And now I've helped, in the process of helping 2 other people purchase vacant properties that were slated to be, they were condemned, they were slated to be torn down, and we've been able to save those properties. And they are currently within roughly about a month before they close. So 2 properties we put back on the tax records. They'll be redone, flipped. So hopefully single families can move in. I mean, there's gonna be instances also where I do have investors that are looking to do rentals. But I figure that it's better to have somebody redo a property, you're getting your tax money, than to have that property torn down, because I'm all about saving properties. Unless it's absolutely necessary that they be torn down. If it's a public safety hazard, then I'm all for, tearing it down so nobody gets hurt or anything like that, but, and then also in public safety, I have an interest in public safety to help research grants and fundraisers for equipment to keep the firefighters safe, instilling protocols to keep our police safe, and researching grants for additional cameras, for neighborhoods, not only just on Allegheny River Boulevard, but possibly up in the, up in the neighborhoods on Center and First, Center and Second. And then also, the main thing is listening to neighbors' concerns regarding crime and implementing a plan of action. Because there is a lot of complaints throughout the neighborhood about things that go on and don't get done, but I would like to reach out to the residents and have a little bit more open communication and be able to understand their concerns and then address, not only just hear them, but address their concerns. And then work together with everybody on council. So lastly, I've worked side by side with just about everybody up here, volunteering throughout the years. And I'm pretty easy to get along with. And I have an open mind, I'm eager to learn, and I can be a leader and I can be a follower, I have no problem with either role. But we all have one common ground, that we want to ensure the progress of Verona, provide leadership, guidance, and safety to the community. I know I'm forgetting something.
Are you done?
So,
Well, she makes
it's like maybe something pops into my head. But
Does anybody have any questions for?
I was gonna ask the same two questions.
I was just gonna say too, like, why.
oh yeah, I forgot, that's what I.
Some of my other questions you already answered.
Yeah.
but- Yeah.
So I've always volunteered in the past, but I've never been able to actually sit on a council because of the requirements and all that and the commitments. I was primary caretaker with my granddaughter, for almost 5 years. I had to watch her 5 days a week and I just didn't have time. Also, I was on the garden club board, which took up an extreme amount of time. So I'm still on the garden club, but I'm not on the board. I'm just a member. And so that's freed up time. And then my granddaughter is now in kindergarten and I only get her half day. And I run my own business, I make my own hours, so I do have the time to now serve and do meetings and classes and be available and take that next step to help the community.
Yeah, so that answered my first question
Yeah.
about, being able to meet all the demands of council. And yeah, related, I was gonna say, I know you submitted your name for the vacancy previously, but you didn't run for the election, but you're submitting your name again, so I just wanted to make sure that your schedule
Yes,
is
I'm available now.
You would have to resign if you were the zoning hearing board. if the
Yes.
City issued.
No,
And then similarly to John, you mentioned a lot of things. What would you say is one of the main things, but if not the main thing you'd like to see in 2 years and how you're uniquely qualified to help with that? You mentioned a lot already, I know, but.
I've always had a passion for helping like elderly and people that were just a little bit down on their luck. I really would like to reach out to some of the residents that may be unemployed or elderly and properties are just kind of getting out of, they can't keep up with them. And unfortunately, that may lead to them just walking away from properties and us having more vacant properties. There are so many programs out there and all it takes is for someone to reach out and let them know, here's what you can do. Do you need a roof? I got your guy. I know who you can call. I have those resources. I know who to call, who to help you. Because I think there's a lot of people that could use the help, even with the properties or making payments and falling behind on things. So that's a passion, but also I just really want to be able to hear the residents' concerns. Because if you're on social media, you're hearing a lot of back and forth about how terrible things are and nobody's doing anything about it. But if you reach out and you have this open line of communication and they are comfortable coming to you and there's a problem, you can address each and every problem and try to solve each and every problem. So people don't just keep saying, well, nothing's ever being done. This is going on, or there's crime, or this is happening. Nothing's being done in this town. So I want to be able to solve some problems.
Can I ask a question? Just because I'm gonna be working with you. One of the major things is, and I hear everything you say, I used to run a senior center the whole 9 years. My question is, when you're looking at doing many of these things, which I think are great, we're faced with budgets that are constraining to the 9th degree. So if something comes before you, what happens when it becomes the budget just can't fulfill it? Then what happens to the state?
So everything that I'm talking about, as far as reaching out to the elderly and people unemployed, that's not a cost to the borough. Those are programs within Allegheny County designed to help these people. So there's no cost to the borough. If there's anything that is going to cost the borough and it's going to be a major amount or any amount, I mean, it has to be discussed between all of us. We all have to agree upon it. But that's the thing, if there is a problem, if residents are having a problem, we've all got to come together and we've got to problem solve. We got to figure it out. And if it costs money, then there's grants for a lot of things. We just have to go out there and find them. So
I just, we're
And we have-
learning a lot
Joe
about
now,
that.
so he's gonna help me. But, yeah, I mean, if there are grants and there's ways to help our borough without a cost, obviously that's the best way, but I will search for those and do my part.
Like I said, we're learning a lot about that in LGA right now, and I, just trying to figure that out.
Question for you, Steph, do you think there's any chance, whoever we choose, John or Angela, we could get them into that class?
Probably not.
I guess they'd have to just watch the videos.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any, oh, I'm sorry,
No, that's okay. I don't have a problem watching videos. I do Zoom all the time.
does anybody have any more questions for Angela?
I have one for her and John, actually, since you're on camera. Both bring very unique experience. Whoever doesn't end up getting selected tonight, will you still stay involved and help us?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Great.
Absolutely.
We'll do
I think we both love our town. So we want to see it better, meet better, so whoever you choose.
And you both have great skills.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
That
absolutely.
can Contribute.
Love your energy. Takes energy to do all. Let's keep turning. The wheels keep turning, but I'm excited. So
Thank you.
thank you for listening and giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
I personally want to thank both John and Angela for standing up there. It's hard standing in public and giving their spill. Unfortunately, one's gonna win and one's not gonna win. We just hope that you stay involved and it's, however we vote, it's nothing personal against anybody. So at this time, how the vote's gonna work, we're gonna take a vote, we're gonna take a roll call vote. And each council person's gonna name who they wanna put in there. And then at the end, who has four, if anybody, if there's a tie, then the mayor will have to break the tie. And then if somebody has four and the other one has two, or whatever.
No,
Oh,
no, you do not.
We
No,
don't. Oh, okay.
There's only two you don't have to nominate.
Just do a roll call.
Roll call.
so at this time, Stephanie, I'd like to start taking roll call.
Ms. Provenza,
A hard call. I know both of these people and I highly respect both of them. I'm going to select Angela. She has such a tremendous background. So I'm going to say Angela.
Mr. Flota,
I agree, this is also a very hard decision, but, I do know both of them as well. Went to school with John. I worked on many projects with Angela. I will have to vote for John.
President Suchovich,
Again, this is a tough decision because both bring a lot to the table. They're both very well qualified. I am also gonna go with John.
Ms. Resnick, Showalter,
I think we all agree we hate this. I'm grateful we're in a position where we have such a hard time deciding between two very qualified candidates who, I think can both bring very unique things to Verona, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. At this point in time, I'm going to go with John.
Dr. Carpenter,
Yeah, to reiterate, I wish I could vote for both of you. It's, and like Trish said, it's great that we have two very qualified people available. I think I'm gonna vote for Angela.
Mr. Long,
I'm not gonna say I give the most speed, but I vote for John.
4-2.
4-2, Mr. Jamelis.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Before, congratulations to both of you for stepping up, and it is a very, very difficult job. 2 years ago, I had to put, more or less replace 2 council men, and, it's always a difficult job, to break a tie. And I'm sure it's difficult for both of you because you're practically neighbors. You live on the same street right from the road. And that's what I mean. And it's a very, very difficult position that you were in, both of you
Yeah.
and this board. And it would have been a very difficult position for me if it was a tie to put either one of you in, because I feel you're both qualified and I'm pulled on both sides. And no matter what you do, somebody will get mad at you, you know what I mean? You put this one in, it's like, well, why did you do this? You put that one in, you know what I mean? I've been through it for 33 years, even as on council, you were the last one, you were the deciding vote because it was 3-3. And there's 7 you on council, and it comes down to me, and thank goodness the following year, my chair was changed somewhere else and I didn't have to be at the end to make a final decision.
Yeah.
But congratulations, John, congratulations, Angela, for stepping up, and I do appreciate it. And I'm sure that Tom and everyone on this board appreciates both of you. Thank you.
You to the duty of the
Yeah.
office.
John, if you would like to come up here.
The swearing in at this time.
Yes.
Yes.
Even if there's the affidavit of residency.
We gotta do it right here in front of the, or John,
You don't know my name? Jeez.
Right here.
I, John Jamelis, having been appointed.
No, I'll say the rest. Sorry to put. Just, so name, I,
John Jamelis,
do hereby swear and affirm
do hereby swear and affirm
this 23rd day of January 2024,
this 23rd day of January 2024,
that I am a registered. No, this ain't the right one.
That's because we gave him this.
Why'd you give me this?
Yes, the sign already signed that.
We went over this a couple years ago.
Yeah, you did, it was like a year ago.
Yeah, and actually it was the attorney that gave me the wrong one.
You passed the first test.
Yeah, this is like deja vu. Okay, we're gonna start all over again, right again. I, state your name,
I, John Jamelis,
have been appointed to the vacancy position
have been appointed to the vacancy position
of council member for the Borough of Verona.
of council member for the Borough of Verona.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support,
or affirm that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
And the first time I met John, I found his credit card. So he was overwhelmed that I found it and turned it in. Even though I put, I'm shaking your hand.
Can I get you to sign this real
Sure.
quick and then we will get that,
Yeah, I gotta find those too.
so signature here.
I was wondering when I was reading, I'm thinking, you don't sign, right? Third time's a charm.
What's that? I said you need to practice. He said.
There was 2 different ones.
Yeah.
I would have probably caught it though.
Yes.
And then you can take your seat next to Mr. Long.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll have you guys sign it. Yeah.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations, John. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
And now Ron.
What? I'll run.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the comments from the advisory boards and commissions. The only thing I have to report is we did have that informational session at 6. But we had an exec session on personnel at 5 o'clock prior to the first meeting. Next up, the mayor.
Just a couple of quick things, one on emergency management, there's an interview pending. So we're moving on that, hopefully by the next meeting.
Yep.
Someone will be appointed. Police hiring, we're still looking, and we're looking for both part-time and, full-time. I had something on garbage, pickup, but I'm going to wait because I see the borough manager has, on the contract. And, an update on the mayor's meeting. As I said earlier, when Mr. Simpson, Chief Simpson was here, I met with myself and the mayor of Oakmont. We hosted a mayor's meeting, and there was 20 mayors there, and it was very informational. And actually, we went to Oakmont Bakery first for the first hour and a half, and Mark, the owner, he put out a really nice spread. None of us wanted to leave, actually. And I had told the board that whatever cost it was, he donated everything up at Oakmont Bakery, and we were all very thankful. And we had just water over there, and I told Sophie I would split the water $3.94. She said, "Don't worry about that." And once again, congratulations, John and Angela, for stepping up. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Borough Manager, Stephanie Volker.
SAMP, as we discussed, included in the meeting packet is the schedule for how this project will occur. As of right now, we are in the middle of the financial review. My little timeline, which that should be done, hopefully by the end of March. It'll be a 5-year review. So it will give us a picture of where we are, where we're going, and things like that. In April and May, the draft of that report, the drafts will be available for both presented to council and to staff, and then we'll also put it on the web. From April to June, the committee will be meeting with the staff, interviewing council members. They'll continue gathering information, benchmarking, all that good stuff. And there'll be a report for that they will again present to the staff, to the council, to the public, and it will also again be available on the website. Then the whole plan is, between August and September, we will be finished. We'll have priority items and budget items, development, implementation process and plans, and all that stuff. And in that same time period, we'll also be working with, they will help us get looking at the police and if there are partnerships or whatever it needs to be.
Thank you.
Regulated rent. Half of the invoices are out. We're currently working on sending out large invoices that have many properties that own more than like 5-6 properties. In total, that's 500 units. So 250 are out. We've already gotten payments for 4. So. I don't know if this is good news or bad news. The garbage contract will be up in May. I want everybody to realize this is going to be a long, hauled out process. I don't know if you've watched the news lately, but there's not very many providers that are doing small town services. A lot of things has gone to automated. So we are planning, Matt and I will begin working on that. We will also then create a committee probably that will meet with the people who are even willing to bid with us.
Okay.
I will warn you, I've talked to other borough managers, there's some companies won't even bid anymore.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. You're right, I've heard that too, in talking, but we've had, since January, we had probably about 5 missed streets, and I don't know how you can miss. You get garbage on this 3rd street, you get garbage on this 3rd street, but you miss the middle, and I kind of don't understand how that happened.
They were pretty good about coming out. I know that there were some streets that they never did get to. We did have one gentleman call and apologize to us because he screamed at us to find out that the garbage man had come really early in the morning. And he just, before he put his garbage out.
Yeah, they did that, yeah.
So, my suggestion to everybody, just because we have to do this, we have County Hauling and Plum also, put your garbage out the night before. Because they're in our neighborhoods at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So we will be working on, we will keep you guys in the loop as we go through it. I'm just concerned. That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. now that we have our new council member, we will sit down and come up with committees. Until then, we're just gonna do, council member reports. First up, Ms. Red Zach Showalter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything else to report tonight other than what you just touched on, that we'll be working on the committees coming soon.
Very good, thank you. Next up would be Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah, I don't really have much. I don't know that I'm gonna be on the same committees. I hope. If I do remain as chair of the finance committee, then my meetings in the past have been on the fourth Monday at 4 o'clock. But that I'm flexible about that, and if it needs to be changed, I can do that too. So,
Yeah, once we make our committees,
Yeah.
show up the post or advertise.
so, yeah, without knowing what we're doing yet, I
Right.
don't have much to do with it, so.
Thank you.
But thank you, I do wanna say congratulations to John, and thank you so much, Angela, for being willing to step up and
Absolutely,
part of the process.
absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, Mr. Floda.
Yes, I don't have anything other than what I do every year, and that's just to remind council of the policies that we have in place. Stating that council members are not supposed to direct or boss around borough employees at all, and we are not allowed or should not be in borough office when it is closed, or even when it is open, that's invited by our staff. Please keep that in mind going into the new year. Sometimes you might think you're helping, but you might just be getting in the way.
Very good.
Thank you for bringing that up, and also for helping to draft those policies and so many of those. While we're mentioning those policies, we were going to make a place for all the policies.
We're working on that.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was an update.
Yeah, here's what I will tell you, there's lots of updates, lots of things that need to get done, unfortunately, everything else just ahead of that. Our plan is to do a lot of that work this winter, and things start just once regulated rent goes out and all the reports are done, then we catch up for a little bit before
Right.
rents start going.
Teresa had a lot of work on that regulated rental.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot, and like, we do, I bet, like 50 year-end reports that are all due by the March 15th. So we're working on those right now. So we're gonna be working on, getting all of our ordinances in to do the 360.
I'm glad you brought that up. Did I add that?
Oh, and the other thing, just before you add to that, we have to go over Parks and Rec, I need to sit down with Parks and Rec, we need to look at fees.
Okay. Yes,
That
we
much
just
we
did,
look
we
at.
just did all that. Since me, you and Tim are attending local government academy. In the past, we have had interns from local government academy come and greatly help with data input and other stuff. So since we are going there Saturday, I just want to put it on all of our radar that we should probably talk to Joy and Rob.
Yeah, Teresa and I have already had conversations about the intern and what we need to be doing.
Okay.
So.
So you already have them
It's
working
already-
even though they're not here.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yep, yeah.
Very good, thank
Very
you.
good idea.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Next up, Mr. Long.
I only have a couple Parks and Rec things. We did book Shakespeare in the Park again this year for June 29th and July 6th. The plays will be to be announced the way on those. And we also booked Battle on the Borough 6 for August 17th.
Very good. Thank you. Next up, I know you just got on, if you have anything to say, Mr. DeMellis?
Not at the moment, sir.
Mr. Jamel's, need to make an appointment with you in the next day or so I can set up your email and get you
Sure.
some stuff that you will need.
Can we skip that for the meeting?
Yes, perfect.
And
Sylvia.
Yep, I just heard a page.
She got all, Teresa felt really bad, just so you know, so she apologized.
So that's okay.
Now, last but surely not least,
Thank you.
Mrs. Preventer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. As part of public safety, we are still searching out police and hoping to get more of them. Doing our best. It's not quick enough. Also, warmest congratulations to you, John. Welcome. I wish you the very best in your service here with the rest of us. Angela, thank you for all you've done. You are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you.
That's it.
Oh, you know what? I have the next news. Alon.
Well,
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Next up will be reports of special committees. Alon, Mrs.
Okay.
Preventer.
thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. The annual spring education conference is coming up. That is the next big function. And it will be held at Seven Springs. The dates of April 4th through April the 7th. And deadline to register is going to be on Wednesday, March 13th.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up will be the COG. That would be me. The meeting is tomorrow.
This is the first meeting since like November, right?
They had a meeting and I apologize, I wasn't there because of some personal issues going on. Well, I do have the agenda in the minutes from last meeting. There was really nothing on there. It was really right now.
And just so you know, I'm happy to step in if you need an alternate.
Very good, thank you. Old business, we have none. New business, we all have our paper, Hossack, Speck, Mutual, and Wood, our auditors. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to hire them to complete our 2023 audit. Motion by Mr. Flotus, second by Mr. Long. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Next up would be announcements. Mrs. Preventer.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Newsletter, we'll start with one. This is last call for the ads and the articles. And this will cover our spring issue. The due date is Friday, February 1st, so it's coming right around the corner. You can please get your articles into Donald Ward, and he can be reached at 412-828-3607. And for ads, I can be reached at 412-828-7726. And please get them in as soon as you can so that we can get the newsletter out to the people by the end of February, if not sooner. Chamber of Commerce, I tried reaching a couple of people. They were MIA somewhere. I could not reach them, but Stephanie was here, or excuse me, Sherry Kine was here, and she said the meeting is going to be Monday, January 29th at 7 p.m. here in the Borough Building. Winboro Ministries, the next community dinner is going to be held on Wednesday, January 31st, the Methodist Church from 4:30 to 6:30. The food is going to be prepared by Presbyterian Senior Care, and it will be hosted by the Verona Methodist Church. Historical Society, that meeting will be on Thursday, February 15th, 7 p.m. here in the Borough Building. And it will be a movie, and it will be presented by Rick Seaback of WTAE, the movie entitled Oakland, and it should be very interesting. And we certainly invite all. And do bring a friend with you. And we already did Alon, so that would close my information. If there's any comments or questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And if not, this concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Provenza.
You're welcome, sir.
It also says here, Friends of the Riverfront is having a virtual public meeting on January 30th from 6 to 8. In the registration, there's a link.
And I will make sure to post that both on Facebook and the website tomorrow.
That's for the Routes and Trails?
No.
That's
this is-
the
That's
river.
Riverfront.
And probably should announce real quick while I'm still thinking about it. We have gotten the complete amount of money needed to put in the handicap accessible dock. We're renewing. So Craig and I and a couple other people have been working to get all that figured out and together. And as you've seen, we've gotten quite a few grants, thanks to Representative Joe Andrew, street paving and parks grant, sewers, you name it. There's been a lot, we received a lot of money this year. We're very excited. I'm very thankful.
I wanted to say thanks to Red Craig, who had a lot to do with that accessible dock.
Yes, you did.
Yes, yes.
I made sure to help him.
Yeah. I hope he stays in.
Yeah. You will.
No, thanks.
At this time, I'd like comments from the public. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. I see nothing. I see no virtual hands. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, it's just nice to look out and see some people in the audience. Our meetings are the second and the fourth Tuesday of the month, second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Everybody's welcome. The business meeting's the second Tuesday of the month, and the workshop is the fourth Tuesday of the month. Thank you for coming. And at this time, I'll take that motion to adjourn.
I'll make it. Just so you know, Don, these two are the only two that are allowed to motion to.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mrs. Benz. Any questions?
It's
All
actually.
in favor? Opposed?
Perfect. It's perfect.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
So if Tim and Sylvia don't show up, the meeting could just go.
The meeting will have to go on.
Never.
So you think articles, what's the name?
Yeah, going up.
Yeah.